Many of us have joked about the scale that determines how gay or straight someone is, but did you know it's a real thing and it comes from research that spanned over 2 decades? Hi friends, my name is Joe Geyer and this is day 5 of Pride History, and today we're talking about the Kinsey reports. The Kinsey reports were the first comprehensive sexual behavior studies that were done in the United States, and they began in 1938 when Alfred Kinsey, a zoologist and professor at Indiana University, was asked to teach a marriage course. And in this course, he gave his students a questionnaire about marriage and sex, and the responses would pique his interest that would move him away from zoology and into the study of human sexuality. And this change would lead to the Kinsey reports and the Kinsey Institute being developed. Not only did this research take 2 decades, but it was funded hundreds of thousands of dollars by the Rockefeller Foundation. The final outputs of the reports were 2 scholarly books called The Sexual Behavior of Human Males and The Sexual Behavior of Human Females. Kinsey, along with his fellow authors Wardle Pomeroy, Clyde Martin, and Paul Gabbard, would go on to do 18,000 interviews in that 2-decade time frame. These subjective interviews were given to 5,300 men and 6,000 women over a period of 15 years. Now, these studies and their findings would be where the general population of the United States would begin to shift its idea about human sexuality and the queer community. And this Kinsey scale was created to give definition to some of these findings. The scale goes from 0 to 6, 0 being exclusively heterosexual and 6 being exclusively homosexual. So let's talk about the findings. While I'm doing this, I'm going to be looking at my notes, so just know you're going to see me do that. So 46% of the men interviewed had some kind of reaction to both sexes in the course of their adult lives. 37% had at least one homosexual experience. 11.6% of the white men ages 20 to 35 were given a 3 out of 6 on the Kinsey scale. And 10% of American males surveyed were exclusively gay for at least 3 years of their lives between 16 years old to 55 years old. For the same age range, 7% of single women and 4% of previously married women were given a 3 rating on the Kinsey scale, while 2 to 6% of women ages 20 to 35 were given a 5 on the scale, and 1 to 3% of unmarried women 20 to 35 were given a 6 on the scale. The Kinsey reports didn't just study this, but they also studied things like marital fun time and taboo topics, but I can't add those into here because the video would be 300 hours long. Now, of course, these reports didn't come out without controversy. One of the biggest ones being that Kinsey didn't use random sampling procedures for his studies. A large part of his demographics were people who were in prison or male sex workers. Kinsey pushed back against the controversy around random sampling. And it's something we see even today when it comes to sex studies. When a group is randomly selected, there is a high refusal rate to take part in these studies, which would make subgroups that he was specifically trying to study, that data would become basically 0. In the issues with the demographics of mostly a prison population and the male sex workers, in 1979, Gabbard would go in and remove those portions of the responses, and he would find that there was no major statistical change to the percents that were represented. Even with these critiques, the research that Kinsey and his team were doing was the beginning of the change that the American people had in how they viewed human sexuality in the queer community, and without it, we wouldn't have advanced to where we are now. So if you're up to it, in the comments, let me know what number you are on the Kinsey scale. I'm a 6, and as always, happy Pride.